this video, we are going to look at broadcasting in Laravel 11, and we are going to use Laravel Reverb, which was introduced with Laravel 11 sometimes back. Now, we are going to look at what is Reverb as well as what is broadcasting. Now, before we continue, I just want to show you the demo of the application that we are going to use to illustrate broadcasting and Laravel 11 Reverb. So this is a Livewire 3 application. Actually, it is a mixture of the Laravel and Livewire. And what this application does is just that you can create a post about what is on your mind, and then of course you just post it. Now, as we are going to do that, now we're going to look at where does broadcasting come into this application. So what I have here is my browser, which is Chrome, and then I also have that is the Mozilla Firefox, which is also opened. So what is broadcasting? Basically, broadcasting is whereby you set up your application in such a way that users, or in other words, you create an event whereby a user can subscribe to that particular event, and of course, when he or she subscribes to that event, then that is an event can be created, and of course that is basically just like where you see the YouTube channel. When you subscribe to a YouTube channel, and then when I get to a post, that is when I get to post a new video, you're able to see the new video. In other words, there's an update or there is notification. So that notification is what basically we are talking about here with broadcasting. So it's a concept which is very important, especially if you want to perform certain real-time activities within your application. So let me just illustrate to you what I'm talking about. Now, the first illustration is going to involve the public channel. So public channel basically means that here an event can be subscribed to by any user, whether he is authenticated or not. So for example, this user is authenticated, which is Brian, but when you look at this other application here, we don't have the user who is authenticated. In other words, the user is not authenticated to our application. So what happens here is that with this public channel, any user can listen to this channel, whether he is authenticated or not. So for example, when I type something like I'm learning Laravel 11 like this. So what will happen is I want you to, so let me just have this to like this. So what will happen is that this event will be broadcasted to the two applications, that is the two browsers. So just watch this. So if I click post, you can see this event is being broadcasted to this application and as well as this, because the two users are listening on the same channel, and because of that the event is being called upon. And then of course I've just placed an alert message within the Echo.js, which you are going to look at, whereby now you can just see an alert. Of course, you can do more with broadcasting. It depends on what type of application you are creating. So for example, this one is just a symbol which says a new post has been created, which is of course as I've just typed. So when I click OK, of course this post will be created, as you can see. And then here, as well as on this other side, when you log in to this application, on this side, this should be Rachel, and then log in to the dashboard, and you can see when I navigate to PostUp, this application has been created. We can go ahead and also create another one. For example, so something like I enjoy Laravel, just something like that. Of course, if I click this, I enjoy Laravel, you can see this one will be created on a real time. And of course, on this other end, it will also be created on real time. So this is now the public channel. Now let me illustrate the private channel. Now, what I've just done, I've just disabled the code that was enabling the public channel, and now we can now listen for the private. So private basically means that both users have to be authenticated from both. In other words, for you to listen to a private channel, you have to be authorized. Authorized basically means that you have to be authenticated within the application itself. So for example, if I log out Rachel here like this, we can see that with the public channel, Rachel was able to listen to this particular event which was being broadcasted on the particular channel. Now, with private, of course, Rachel is unable to hear, that is unable to get notified of a new post created because she's not authorized. So I just want you to watch this. So for example, if I just copy this, I paste it here. Let me probably I just remove the exclamation mark, and then here I just hit post like this. You can see sorry, let me just not be so. Okay, so what I need to do is I just need to refresh this again. Let me just refresh this, because what you need to know is that with Laravel Reverb, you have to, actually we have to restart. You can just go ahead and restart this. So you can see here, this is my, let's just restart this again. So this is going to be restart like this. And then here, just need to do that. Right, so now once I do that, we can just reload this so that it can detect the private channel. So what I can do here is, okay, I can delete this and just copy again and have whatever we had before. And then I paste it there like that. So let's see if this is going to work. As you can see now, it is private because now Rachel is unable to receive this notification because it's not authenticated, because this channel is private. And that is now public and private. Now, the last one that we're going to look at in this video is the being able to be, in other words, a user can also be able to, for example, edit this post. Of course, that basically means update this post. And of course, this basically means that for you to update this post, we can enable a way that the user, who is the user ID, is also able to update a particular post. In other words, is listening on a private channel, and then at the same time is authorized to listen, is authorized to edit, for example, this post, and also get notified of the post he has just edited. This basically means that when you, for example, let me just show you something. For example, when you come to read on the Laravel, for example, this is what I'm talking about. For example, if we want to enable a user to be able to listen or to be able to be updated on a particular order, or that is an order a user has ordered for. So for example, if we want that user to be notified of that order when it is updated, then we can, this is what we can do. We can, of course, ensure that the user who is authenticated to that application matches the order that the user has ordered, of course. So that basically, so when you come to read the documentation for Laravel, that is broadcasting, then you're able to see this example I'm talking about. So this is the same example I used here on this application. So we are enabling, that is a particular user who, of course, for example, Brian is the creator of this post here. So it means that he can listen for the event that happens with this post here. So basically, I believe you get to understand, but I will illustrate more as we continue. So make sure to watch this video till the end. So what do I mean here? So for example, what is happening here is that, for example, if now, let's say, for example, let me edit this one here. So if I click on edit, for example, I enjoy Laravel and maybe something I add just to edit the given post. You can see here there will be a pop-up which says a post has been updated. Now, for example, if you are creating an application such as this one, or for example the e-commerce, this one here, you could enable it in such a way that when for example, when an order, let's give an example of this one, is updated, then we can notify the user through real time that his or an order has been updated, and then probably needs to make a purchase, that is, he needs to pay for that order or something like that. So basically, this is just the idea I brought from here. Just came up with this idea from here. So once we get to implement this, then I'm sure that if you have an e-commerce application, then you can just use the same concept to notify your users in real time when their orders are or that is shipped or something like that. You can also think of another application, a chat application, and so forth. So this can be done in many places. All right. So now, so these are the three items you're going to look at. So private, public, and the updating a particular post or an order in that case. All right, so let's get started. So watch this video till the end so that you can get all these concepts, because I'm going to explain them to you step by step. All right, so let's get started. All right, now let's go ahead and install broadcasting. So for us to install broadcasting in this application, so we are going to do several things. So one of them is going to be, we are going to run this command here, which is php artisan, then install broadcasting. So I'm going to have something like this. Now once you have this command, you can go ahead and run it. So what this command is going to do is that it is going to install the broadcast. In other words, it's going to install the broadcast.php, and this is the file I'm talking about. So this is broadcasting.php. Since I already have this installation, so there's no need for me to restart them again, because we could have issues with things to do with application key and so forth. So unless now we add a new Laravel application, but this is still the same application I was showing you at the start. So what you can see here is that I already have the connection, which is Reverb. So by default, this is going to be null. So when it is null, it's going to be this one. So what you need to do is just ensure that it's going to be the Reverb. You're going to change it to Reverb in short. And then next, what you're going to have, you can see now when you change to Reverb, it basically means that this is the connection that is going to be established. The driver is going to be Reverb. The key is what you have within your .env. So within our .env, when we come here, we can see that this is what we have. We have, of course, this one, they come just by default. So once you install the Reverb, then this is going to be generated for you by default. However, if you are using a third-party service like Pusher, then you'd have to go and get the keys, that is the ID, the app key, secret, and so forth, and then come and place them here. But since Reverb is developed by Laravel team, so it is coming by default. So it also comes with this app keys set. Now, before you broadcast any event, you need to run this. So once you have that one, it has installed Reverb. So before you broadcast any event in Laravel, you need to have the queue work, which is this one here. So you need to run this queue work so that it can be, of course, queuing each and every job within your Laravel application. But for me, I refer, and this is what is done by most Laravel developers. So what you need to do is come here. Let me take out this one, then come type broadcast. Sorry, Control V. So here type broadcast, and then the connection, of course, make sure this connection, by default, this connection is going to be either null or log. So make sure you change this one to Reverb like this. Now, once you have this one in set, the next thing is this queue connection is going to be database by default. So you want to change this one to be sync so that it can synchronize with whatever you're doing. So the jobs are just going to be so the command is still going to be similar as this one here. So you don't need to run this command if you set the queue connection to be sync. So make sure you have that in mind. Now let's go ahead and look at something else now. For this reverb, you can also install it using the composer command. So for example, you can have something like composer require then Laravel like this, and then here you have reverb, then here you have at beta like this. So you can use this command to install reverb. However, with install broadcasting, it comes having installed reverb, as it asks you if you want to install reverb. Now the other command here you need to have, or you need to run, is PHP artisan reverb, and then here you're going to indicate install. So what this command is going to do, it is going to run the reverb's installation command to publish configuration. So it is going to add the reverb's required environmental variables, which are going to enable the event broadcasting. And what I mean here is when you just go up and then come here, you can see we have reverb.php. And this is what I'm talking about. So you can see here we have reverb.php, and you can see the default server is reverb. So the servers that you're using here now, basically this is the reverb, and then of course we have the key, the secret, the app ID, which you can find them within your .env file. Now what you need to know is that this server credentials, they are the ones that are establishing the connection between the client and the server, so that you need to know that. Right, so once you have that set, what you can do next is come here, and what you can do is now to run. Okay, so you just need to type this. So PHP artisan reverb, and then here you just need to start this like this, and then you hit enter. So once you hit enter, by default the reverb server will be started on this local host, which is this one here. So you can see it will be started on this one, which makes it accessible from all network interfaces. However, you can also indicate a port. For example, if you want to run so for example, you can have something like this. So for example, you can have something like this, and what you can see here is basically you can indicate a port by default. For example, if the 88 has been used by another application, you can also indicate, for example, a different port. So that is something you need to know. Now, if you also want the reverb to be able to give you any errors, you can set, that is the PHP artisan reverb start and then the debug. So this is what it will do. It will be able to, for example, if I click enter here, now it will be able also to show me any errors within the application that I may need to know. You can also do something else. I can also cancel this one, and let me just clear this. You can also do this restart. So the restart command, what it will do here, it will restart the broadcasting reverb, and then of course you can come here again and do the start like this. So that's something you need to know. Because why do you need to restart? This is because the reverb, basically the connections, that is basically it is a long running command, that is the server. It's a long running server. So for example, when you make changes within your application, you want to restart this command so that of course it can continue running your server as you are doing your real time, of course, depending on what you are building.
Now, the other thing you need to know here, let me just get another git bash, is that we also need to install the Laravel Echo. And for us to do that one, we have this command. Let me just get it. Okay, so what this command does is that this command, the command. So this command, what it does, it will install Laravel Echo and Pusher.js at the same time. So what is Laravel Echo? So this is a JavaScript library that will subscribe to channels and listen for events and broadcast them to your, that is, it will listen for the events channels, then listen for the events, and then broadcast them to your server-side broadcasting driver, such as the Reverb. So that is what it is doing. So it is listening for the events that we are going to create, and of course the channel that we are going to create as well. So once you have that one installed, this is the file, that is when you run this command. So this is the file that will come. So here we have echo.js, which is this one here. So this is the file that we are going to use to listen for our channel. And then of course, within that channel, of course, we are able to get the event. So we are going to listen for that. And then once that is done, the next thing you need to do here is come on your terminal. And then you need to run the npm run build like this. And then of course, this is going to compile your application assets. Now, once that is done, you are ready to go. That is basically the installation of the Laravel Reverb. Right, so now we can now continue. Next. Now let's go ahead and set up our events. So we're going to have two events, which is going to be post created and post updated. So these events are triggered when a post is created or updated respectively. So this is what I'm talking about. So the command you need to run is php artisan, and then here you're going to say make event, and the first one is going to be post created like this. Okay, so that event has been created. The other one I want us to create is when the post is also updated like that. Okay, so the first one, which is, check out that one. So the first one is this one here. So this event, what's going to happen here, we are going to update it with several things. So the first one is that I'm going to give it a property, which is going to be a public post. Which is going to be something like this. And then this post, which is property, I'm going to pass it within my constructor here. Like this. And then of course here I'm going to say this is like that. So basically what I mean is that I'm referring to this current variable here, which is post. Basically this is an instance that we are going to pass here within our method, which is public function broadcast on. So for example, here we are returning a private channel, which is an array, but here I'm not going to return an array. So I'm just going to have a single channel. So what I'll do here is I'll remove this array. Basically means that you can listen to multiple channels within your broadcast on method. But here we're only listening to a single channel. So here I'm going to pass only one channel, and this channel I'm going to call it post like this. Okay, so that is it. So that is post and this is private. So for example, let's start with the public. So let me just remove the private there. So we're going to unexpected. Okay, maybe that one. Okay, so we're going to have this one like this. And of course here, since we are defining a post, we also need to import this model like this, because here we are listening on
on the whenever a post is created. So of course this is done within our post model, which interacts with our database. Okay, so once we have this one set, I believe now there's something else we need to add here. So what we need to add here is, so we're going to add implements should broadcast, because here we are broadcasting through this channel, which is this one, which is post here. So that's the channel we are listening on. So the implement basically it needs to be added because we are broadcasting on that channel, which is post. Now we can do something similar on our post updated. So what I can do here is come to post, not post, be post updated. So this is the event. So within this event, what I'm going to do is something similar. So I'm also going to pass, because here we are just listening for when an event has been, a post has been updated. So we're going to have this one like that. Then our constructor here, we are going to pass our post model with our property. And then here we, of course, we refer to that variable within our constructor, because you're going to create the instance. Now this is also going to be not an array because it's only a single channel. So here we're only going to have this. Okay, so this is what we have. So the channel here is going to be a private channel. So this is going to be private channel. Now here, what you're going to do is that you're going to pass the post, and then you're going to refer to the post ID. Basically, we want to identify a particular post with the ID. So for example, when we are editing that post, listen for that channel, listen for this channel post, and then of course refer to the ID of the given post, and then of course we can listen for that event, and of course we are able to alert. For example, of course, whatever you do it with your UI, that is basically what you want to do. So let's go ahead and also import this like this, and then once this is done, okay, so that is it. Now once we have these two set, remember here we also need to implement should broadcast, because we are broadcasting on that channel. So once you have this one set, now the next thing we need to do is to broadcast that event, of course, and that means we need to go to our methods within our application and dispatch that event. Okay, now let's go ahead and broadcast these events since we have now established them. So what we're going to do, we are going to dispatch the corresponding event, and this will be done through our store and update method. So for example, I'm going to start with the create method, and within this create method, this is what is going to happen. You can see here, for example, we create a new post. Now this post, you're going to assign it to a post variable. So this basically means something like this. You're going to say this post variable is going to take in whatever that is the user authenticated. Of course, we are authenticating the user, and then now here we validate our post, and then of course we create it, store it on the post variable here. And then once we do that one here, of course, we are doing just reset, of course. Now, just above here, this is what you're going to do. So basically here, you're going to dispatch the post created event like this. So basically what is going to happen here, we're going to say event, and then inside there we're going to say new, and then post created, and then of course here we pass, of course, whatever we have created here. So this event is going to to have this payload here. So basically the event and then the payload. Of course, the payload basically means the data that this event is having. Right, this other one here, let's not confuse you. This is just a Livewire event which is being dispatched. Of course, when a post is created, that is when it is stored on the database. And then now when we want to retrieve it, of course, we come on our list, blade.php, and then we listen for that event. Remember, this is Livewire 3. We listen for that event, and of course we display. So that is what is happening. But now this one is the Laravel event itself. So once we have that, we also need to import this. See, this is so on just on top here, you need to import use. Yeah, so you need to have that one, use app events post created. Yeah, so you need to have that one. So now the next thing we need to do, since this event has been dispatched with the payload here, so we need now to listen for this event. And for us to do this one, we need to access the echo.js, which is a JavaScript library, which is used for listening for your server-side events through, of course, a channel. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and update this echo.js. So here we're going to say, for example, window.channel, and then the channel name here. So the channel name here, of course, this is going to be post, because remember that is what we have just done on the server side. And then here we are going to listen for a given event, which is the post created event, like this. And then here, this is what you're going to have. So for example, you can do something like console.log, for example, if that's what you want to update your UI with. But basically here, what I'm going to do here is just like you saw from the demo app. I'm just going to do an alert, which is going to say a new post was published or created, which is okay. And then here I'm going to, so here I'm going to have it like this. And then yeah, so here I'm going to have, for example, epost.title, but in my table I don't have title, I have message. So here I'm going to say e.post.message, of course. And of course, you can go ahead here and update your UI as you want. So update the UI probably to show then with a new post and so forth. So you can go ahead and do that. But I'm going to reach there. So this one needs to be that way. So basically, we listen for that event. Let me see. This is okay. So here we listen for the events, which is the post created event. And then here it's 2 should be 1. All right. So that is it. So once you have that one, is as easy as you can see. So the next thing is to update the routes.channel. So this channel.php, I think I forgot to talk about it. When you run your install broadcasting command, this file is also going to be added within your routes file here. So you also need to know that one. Another thing you need to know, this one is coming from Bootstrap app.php. Well, you can see here, it's also where it is also added. That is within Laravel 11. So you can see this way you find your routes within your application. So let's go back. Now, here, what you're going to do is that we're going to define a broadcast. And this broadcast is going to listen for the post. Here, we are going to add a callback function. In this case, this is not what you're going to do. So this callback function, we are going to pass just a user like that. The user will listen into the post channel. And then here, we are going to return just something simple, which is going to be true like this.
So basically what this means is that here we allow all the authenticated users to listen to the post channel. So this is what it basically means. In other words, this means that there is no authorization that we are adding on this given route here. So this is what we mean here. Right, so once you have that one set, the next thing you need to do is to okay, so this is it. We already have this, so we have dispatched, and now we are ready to listen. Okay, so let's go to our application, which is this one here. This, so since I just got this from the GitHub, okay, so it means there is, okay, so here, right, so let's try to add something like this. Okay. Right, so you can see a new post was published. I'm learning Laravel 11. So this event is working. And of course, the post is created just as we expect. Right, and you can see also this one is also okay. So this is also broadcasted on the other end. And this is what we can see here. And remember, this is public. So basically, this is just what I showed you from the demo app. Rachel was not authenticated, but is able to receive the broadcast because she's also listening on the same channel, and they are both, they don't require any authentication since this is a public channel. Right now, so this is it. So this is public. Now there's also something else you can also do here, because for example, okay, before I talk about that one, or let me just talk about it. Now you can see on this get post here, we also need to add Livewire listener, which is the on. So this on is a Livewire. The O should be caps. And then here I need to add, it's going to be echo. And then here I need to listen for the post channel like this. And then here I need to have, I need to have the post, not class, but just, yeah. So what I'm doing here is I echo the post channel. And then of course this event is post created event. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want it to refresh each time an event is being broadcasted to our channel. On the time of when this post is being created, I want this method to be refreshed so that this post can be displayed on our given front end. Okay, so this is, now we are going to see this one in action when we go to the private. So now let's go to the private and also see what is going to happen. So on the private, I need to go to the echo.js, and this is what I have. So here I'm going to copy this, which is the public. Going to have this like this, can probably push it somewhere like this, and then this one. Okay, so here this channel is going to be private like this. The channel is going to be post. The event is post created we are listening for. We also alert a new post has been published, just like this, the same thing. It's only that the difference is just the private. So that's what we have there. So this one, I'm going to save it like that. And then, as you know, I need also to come here, and this time around, this one, I'm going to change this to private instead of just the normal. So this is going to be private, and you can see
this is the Illuminate Broadcasting private channel. So this is going to be the one that we are using is this one, which is for the public. Right. So once we have this one set like this, so we need to, okay, so we need just to go and now listen for that event. So what will happen is that just like I showed you on the demo app, let's see, there's, okay, so let's log out Rachel, and okay, so for example here I can say I enjoyed Laravel, something like that. Now what will happen is that this post is going to be created on this end. Oh, sorry, so I just like I showed you, so you need to, I need to restart my reverb, something that you just need to do, that is running on this part here. Let me just go ahead and do this. Okay, so here we just need to restart this. Now when you are working with this in your live application, there is a supervisor which will be able to rerun or restart your reverb whenever you make any changes. So just something you need to know, but this is just on a local development. Okay, so once you have that one, you can go ahead and refresh this like that. So we can probably just delete this. Okay, so when I add this, you can see it's only broadcasted here. So Rachel is unable to listen for this event because now it is private. In other words, she is not authenticated. But now if she is authenticated, for example, let's come here and log in. Okay, so let's come here and log in. So just chilling out like this. Okay, so this is, okay, and then we have this. Now you can see she's authenticated, but the channel is private. So because she's authenticated, it means that she can listen on that channel because there's she's already now authenticated. So if I add this one like this, you can see now this one is going to be broadcasted on the two places, right? So once we have that one, the next thing we need now, the last one, of course, is this one here. So the last one is dispatching the post updated event on update. So for example, if you update something, what are we going to get here? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay, now let's go ahead and do this for a post when it is updated. So what we are going to do is that we are going to go to our edit. I have an edit blade.php file here. And what I'm going to do here, you can see on my edit.blade.php on this component here, where we have the update. So this update is the one that is responsible for updating a post, given of course the ID of that post. So what I'm going to do here is that just below the post updated, once the post updated event has been dispatched, then I'm also going to dispatch when a new post has been that is been updated. So basically that's just an event to alert the user that a post has been updated. So we are going to dispatch the event after the post has been updated. Now once we have that one is in set, we are now going to do something. Now what you need to know here is that we are listening on a channel which is post, but basically this time around here we are going to update a post ID. For example, if something happens within a specific post, then we trigger an event. So what is going to happen? Let's go to our list.php. Now what we're going to do here is that I'm going to write a script here like this, open and close, and this is going to be somewhere here. So inside this script, I'm going to define a variable called post IDs, and then I'm going to say this post IDs is equal to at JSON, and then we're going to plug the ID. This is not okay. So here at JSON, then post a plug ID. So what does this mean? Basically, plug ID basically means that we are going to retrieve all the values for a given key from this collection of posts, because you can see here we have this list.blade.php is responsible for looping over the post and of course presenting for us the post. That is the post. Of course, you have the post ID, but here we get the post username, the person who created that post, the post ID, and basically the main message of that given post here. So basically what we do here is that we plug, of course, the IDs of those given posts, and then this at JSON here, it is going to convert that collection of post ID to a JSON array, so that it is now returned to the post ID variable, which is going to store all the post ID from this JavaScript array. So that is what is going to happen. So that now, once we have that one, we can save this, and then we go to our echo.js, which is this one here. And what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to call that variable, which I just defined. And then I'm going to loop over that given, because now it has now all the post IDs that we need, so that we can now retrieve them. We're going to have something like that. So the post ID, and I believe this is going to be, so we're going to have this. So inside there, I'm going to have window.echo, and then this echo is .echo.private, and then here this is okay. So we listen on the channel post, and then of course here, so here we loop over all the IDs that we already have, and then now as we listen to this channel, we are going now to this post ID is going to give us the ID of each post. So here we're going to have listen the post updated event. Then here, for example, we can do something like we can alert, for example, a post was updated, and then of course we alert the message of that post that was created. So here we can close this like that, and then we close this with another one like that. Right, so that is it. So we loop over our posts IDs, and then we pass this post ID on this part here. So that is, in other words, what we mean here is that the for each will execute the function for each post ID in the post IDs array. And then of course this post ID is going to be the current post ID within our array. So once we do that one, we can now come here within our channels.php. And then what we're going to do here is that we are going to have something like this. So here I'm going to have broadcast channel, and basically here we're going to pass the post ID, which is this. Remember, that is the post ID, which of course contains the current post ID. And then here within our callback function, here we're going to pass the user. Actually, this is what we're going to have. So here we're going to have user then the user, and then going to be int post ID. Here we are not going to allow, so basically here we're going to return, yeah, this is okay. So user ID, we're going to say post find or new, like this. We pass the post ID, and then in other words, we want the user who is currently authenticated to match with the post ID within that application. So this is what we mean in this part here. So if the user ID matches the post, then of course we allow him, or in other words, the event is going to be triggered here. Okay, so this is what we have, and so let's go ahead and do this. We can also do the same thing. For example, we can also allow for the refresh. So for example, when we go to be the edit, sorry. So let's go to the list.php, and then let's come to the edit method. So this edit method here is the one that is responsible now for us, enabling us to pick the ID of the post that is being updated. So here I'm going to have, so this is what I'm going to have here. So I'm going to say echo and then post updated. So this is responsible for refreshing, so that we don't have to refresh our page. Remember, the whole idea of broadcasting is to prevent the page refresh. So the user is just updated on a real-time manner. Okay, so once we have that one set, so let's just come here and do this. And then before we do that one, there is something I've just remembered, is that we can also come here on, we can also come here, and then let's go to the sockets, and then let's reload this. So here there's something you need to understand, is that when you reload this is the WebSockets. You can see this is the events that are taking place. So you can see here it is showing us the subscription succeeded. So it means that our subscription is going well, and then we're able to listen to the channel, which is the post channel here that we are subscribed to. Yeah. So that's something you need to know. Right, and then next is, so let's go ahead and let me just, okay, so this is editing. Okay, so let's reload this again. So when I click on edit and I try to update this and then click save post, okay, so we forgot to, I forgot to import this. So this is on edit. Yeah, so this is the event. So it needs to be imported. So you can import it somewhere there. Just have it like this. Okay, let me just edit it again. And then save this, and you can see the post was updated, just chilling out like this, so the user is able to get this in real time. And of course, it can only happen with the user who is authenticated and is the person who has created this post. That's what it means by this route here. Right, guys, so that is it on broadcasting. I believe this has taught you something. This is just an introduction to broadcasting. In the future videos, we are going to delve more into it. So I believe you have got something. So if you have got something, please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Let's meet in the next video.